Welcome to Stargate SG-1 for the first time, still not a Star Trek podcast. My name is Jeff Akin, and I'm watching Stargate SG-1 for the first time.
And I'm Brent Allen, and I am also watching Stargate SG-1 for, well, the 47th time. But for the first time, I am looking for what Stargate is trying to teach us. You know, those lessons that hold up a mirror to society, give us hope that things are going to be better in the future, or just tell us how we can be better human beings to one another.
Speaking of better human beings, this week's episode is called Politics.
Yes, it is.
Probably not about better human beings, but I want to dive into it and find out. Brent, why don't you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so this is episode 21 of the first season. This is a penultimate episode. As you may imagine, I'll just let you know, it is kind of a bottle episode. Save some money for the finale getting ready to come up. Original air date, February 27th, 1998. The show is written by show creator Brad Wright and directed by Martin Wood, both names we have talked about before. You're going to hear those many more times throughout the run of this show. Now, in this episode, Jeff, we get a great Star Trek crossover.
What?
Yes, you are going to know it immediately. And I'm not going to tell you who it is. You're just going to have to wait and find out.
Okay.
But you're just going to be like, yeah, I promise you. And it'll be fun to compare the character here and the character there. They're not anywhere near. They do not have the same job. Let me just put it that way. It's not that sort of a situation. Very
Armin Shimmerman, right? Who very different person as a Nox than he was in Star Trek or Buffy or anything else.
Yeah. We get another Wizard of Oz reference in this one, so be on the lookout for that. But Jeff, with that, why don't we go ahead and jump into this episode? For you folks out there, if you're joining us for the first time, here's how this works. Jeff and I are going to watch this episode, Politics, right now. Like, we're going to do it here live right now for the first time. Now, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're going to get the reaction video. If you're watching us on Patreon, hello to all of our patrons. Thank you so much for your support. You guys are amazing. You're going to see the uncut version running through exactly how it goes. And if you're interested in finding out about more of that uncut version, head over to patreon.com/Babylon5 first, because that's where we have our Patreon stuff.
If you're listening to this on an audio podcatcher, welcome. It's awesome to have you here. But we're about to skip the episode and come right into the discussion where I'm going to share my for the first time reaction. And Brent is going to share any of those sci-fi messages that he may or may not have found in this episode. Brent, let's do this.
Chevron 7 locked.
Previously on Stargate SG-1, Daniel travels to an alternate reality where the Goa'uld have already began attacking Earth. There's not much to be done for that world, but if Daniel can return to his timeline with the gate address of where the attack will come from, maybe he can save his world from being attacked. Well, as today's episode opens, the team is returning from the planet where Jackson found the device that let him reality hop. He's trying to tell everyone of his adventures, but nobody seems to particularly believe him. Anyway, all of that's going to have to wait. They're about to have a special visitor, Senator Robert Kinsey, who just so happens to be the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, is coming for a visit. Because really, he just wants to shut down the program. Again, calling it a colossal waste of money. Well, Captain Jellicoe arrives, and they begin reviewing several mission reports, and oh, wait, I get it now. This is a clip show that's actually a clip show, and you've already heard everything that's going to happen in this episode because, well, that's season 1. Longtime listeners of our show, Babylon 5, for the first time will understand that reference I just made. At the end of all the clips, Kinsey has decided he's still going to shut everything down. Despite all the dangers the program has presented, they just haven't brought back enough tech to make it worth the cost. And not even Daniel Jackson, spouting his warnings from another dimension, can seem to sway Kinsey. Because God will protect America, don't you know? With that, he's gone, and the SGC is shuttered. Hammond can't even let Teal'c return to Chulak through the Stargate. As the episode fades to black, our core cast is there staring at the gate wondering, is this the end?
All right, Jeff, we have just finished watching Politics, a clip show. that was actually a clip show. You for the very first time, me for the umpteenth time, but me watching for the first time looking for messages. Jeff, take us through it. Your experience of watching politics for the first time.
This has been a super episodic show so far, right? And we've talked about this a number of times. Episodic, kind of a thread, holding things together a little bit. This is the first real serialized moment. Like this picked up like the next frame from last week, just continuing on Daniel's. I thought that was kind of cool and a nice change, and it makes sense given the story we're heading into. And I was really excited for this. Like they started setting up this really cool story, and there's a couple points that I want to talk about specifically around the politics of running an operation like this. $7.4 billion a year. That's no joke. To put that in perspective, in the state of Oregon, we spend about $10 billion a year in our healthcare, like for our Medicaid stuff. That's for a whole state, and like 3 million, couple million people's healthcare.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it always seems small potatoes to me, considering that Elon Musk bought Twitter for $44 billion, like it was nothing. I mean, maybe not like it was nothing, but still, like. But the Denver Broncos sold for just over $4 billion.
But that's total valuation for a company or an organization. This is $7.4 billion a year.
That's probably going to go up, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I work in public sector. I'm a government guy. I worked in budget. I am personally responsible for just about, how much is it a year? About $30 million a year is my total-ish spending authority that I have. And that is called, like literally our CFO calls that budget dust. Like I am budget dust, $30 million.
Is meaning it doesn't matter. That's nothing.
We're a massive organization. We have I think a year. We have a biennial budget, so 2 years. But I think every year our total budget's right in the neighborhood of $20 billion. And that's for one agency in a small, population-wise, small state. So that's a sizable amount of money for one operation that they're doing.
Just for clarity, I would like to. I'm putting in a calculator here, an inflation calculator.
Oh,
all right, $7.4 billion from 1997 to 2023, which is when you and I are recording this. $7.4 billion back then. Today is worth, let's see, what is that? About $14 billion in today's money. $14 billion is really what we're talking about. Okay, again, Denver Broncos were just sold for $4 billion, but listen, I'm not trying to stress out. How many times have we authorized $40 billion for foreign aid?
Well, and I think, like, to my point of $30 million being budget dust, in the federal government, $14 billion is budget dust.
Yeah.
In my world, at the state level, we talk billions and millions. The federal, they talk trillions and billions. And by the way, I just want to point out, just my moment, that's your money
that they take without you actually saying that it's okay.
Yeah. I want to come back and talk about some of these political pieces, because for me, after I had the initial response of like, oh my God, it's Captain Jellicoe here on Stargate. How cool is this? After that response, Brent, this turned into a clip show.
Yeah.
And not just a kind of clip show, like a lot of full, very long clips.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to our Patreon and you watch our unedited version of this, I'm going to do a quick impression of big chunks of this on this episode.
For the audio listeners out there, Jeff is just currently sitting back in his chair with his arms folded, lips pursed, nodding his head, going, I've seen this before.
It's a good chunk of the episode. Then we had, some conversations on this side. But as I was thinking about it, if I remember right, there was a pretty sizable, like, mid-season gap for this, right?
Yeah, from October to January. Halloween to January, yeah.
It's a good chunk of time. And I would imagine a new show coming out, and it's kind of sci-fi-y, and it's based on a movie and whatnot. Probably had an initial, like, oh, that's kind of cool. But it wasn't big. But as it was growing, people are at work talking about it and getting their friends watching it. So when they came back from that mid-season break, they probably had a lot of new viewers. So to your point, we got to save money because we got a big finale coming. We're going to throw a bunch of our budget into that. So we need to have a cheap episode. Also, let's bring all of our new viewers up to speed.
Sure.
So it was annoying that it was a clip show, but it makes sense why it was a clip show. So this whole thing was interesting. Senator Kinsey, right, comes on board at the SGC to make it defend itself, justify your expenditure. You made a point while we were watching this that the whole point of this program is to go out and get technology and bring it back.
Right.
And they failed to do that so far. So top line, dude's the chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee. It's his job to figure out where the dollars go. He's asking the right question. Is this worth that much money? So then the crew starts trying to justify it. And Captain Carter's the only one who's making any sense. We're exponentially increasing our knowledge of astrophysics, which has all these applications and whatever. Daniel goes down a rabbit hole that Kinsey grabs onto, and it turns into a whole argument about Pandora's box. Anyway, as they're having the argument, I feel like Kinsey's not necessarily wrong through a lot of this. He becomes very wrong later on, but as in the beginning, I'd say like the first 2/3 of the episode, I can completely understand where he's coming from. The questions he's asking, the doubts he has, they're not giving him any compelling evidence to now we see the compelling evidence in the clip,
Right.
but he's not watching the clip. He's reading their reports of things and countering it. Like, you ran away from this big, dangerous ship on foot, and we're fine. I'm supposed to think that's a threat? But then he turns into total government guy. Well, yeah, so you went there and you stopped that virus from spreading. But if you hadn't, and if this happened, and if, I'm going to develop policy around these 16 ifs I just lined up. Now, I'm not going to listen to your ifs, but my ifs, those are justifiable. So I'm going to make a decision based on those. You had mentioned we're going to see more of Kinsey. I think I'm excited for that. This guy's going to be an excellent foil. He is, and I don't mean any offense to anyone out there, but he's like the proto-Trump. He's the proto-Make America Great Again. It's the level of aggressively willful ignorance that he has, where like, they're going to come here. America's going to stand up. They can't stand up to our stuff. Hey, dude, we shot these guys with our assault rifles. It didn't do anything.
You want to know actually who he reminds me of when I think about it? Do you remember it was the TNG episode, First Contact?
Okay.
It's one of those episodes that every sci-fi show does at some point or another. You go to an alien world. There's the president, the guy who like, oh yeah, these are aliens. Let's be cool with them. Let's introduce them. We should be awesome. But oh yeah, my like chief of security, #1 guy is like super opposed to these guys being here. And he just wants to shut the whole system down. And, we're not that. And if I remember right, that episode ended with them not being ready for admittance into the Federation and not being part of, they were going to cloister themselves and pretend like like nobody else outside of their world existed.
Exactly.
That's who this guy reminds me of. Like, nope, we're just gonna do our thing, and we're gonna be right here. And to the point that you're comparing him to President Trump, it really is. If I can just point to it, that I think the point where it really got to me was where he pointed to his chest and he had the American flag, and he said, "I've got to protect the citizens of this country first. He's got to be about this first." And there's a lot of people watching right now. I love you. I salute you. Who are like, yeah, that's right. You're a United States Senator. You care about the United States citizens first. I agree.
Yeah.
You're also now a part of a galactic community, and you're literally representing the entire world. I think something we've learned, World War II, lots of other places, being isolated does not work. It just does not work. We have to have a global mindset.
Well, I think in a lot of sci-fi, Star Trek being, and this isn't a Star Trek podcast. We've talked about a lot of it, but it's really a good comparator. First contact for Earth was with the Vulcans, right? They came and we achieved warp drive, and they came, they saw it, and they made first contact with us at one of the worst points in human history, right? Depending on, like, if we are pre modern Trek, We went through the eugenics wars. We went through World War III, the Bell riots, all these horrible, I mean, the world was becoming a nuclear wasteland.
Yeah.
First contact, we understood that. We're part of a galactic community and a unified Earth. We look at Babylon 5. There's still nation states, that exist all under United Earth, who united because contact was made with the Centauri, who introduced them to that galactic community.
Can I peel that back to our own actual real life history? Just here in our own country of America. Sorry to everybody else internationally. You had 13 colonies, considered themselves 13 separate independent nations, states of their own, had a common enemy, and they united. And thus is born the United States of America.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Before we gate into the rest of this episode, did you know you're missing most of the content from this podcast? Stargate SG-1 for the first time has an active and exciting Patreon that you can join right now by clicking the link in the show notes. Not only will you get access to the full, unedited podcast and reaction videos, you'll also be able to join a growing, vibrant, maybe even an intergalactic community. Subscribers even get access to all of our content from Babylon 5 for the first time. Don't miss out on this content and the amazing people. Just click the link in the show notes. Tilk thinks you should do it right now.
Indeed.
Happens time and again. And I think that what this, we in a lot of the sci-fi that we watch, we talk about it being prescient and showing us a glimpse of the future. And I think that's what this is in a way, because Kinsey's response rings true in that there are going to, when the alien conspiracy is unpeeled and we find out that we've had contact or whatever, when that happens, there are people who are like, no, I got to take care of my country.
Yeah. Not
understanding that it doesn't matter. Like they're going to blow all of us up, or whatever. So it's kind of scary, to see that here and to understand and to see it kind of happening in our little way and seeing the potential for it to happen when we are introduced to the greater galactic community.
Right.
The thing ends with Kinsey making a decision to cut funding. Doesn't think it's worth the money. Hammond, Tilk is like, well, then I'm out. Like, if you're not going to fight the Gould, that's why I'm with you. It's because you're fighting the Gould. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to go back. I'm going to find somebody else. O'Neill wants to go with him. Yeah, I'll go too. Hammond just shuts him down. Hammond is like, my orders are to cease operation immediately. I was disappointed in Hammond. I expected, my orders are to shut down operations immediately. Sure would be unfortunate if somebody were to activate the gate within the next 6 minutes while I'm checking this thing over. Like, he'd slip in something, but he just rolled over. Hammond lost some cred with me in this episode.
Okay.
I'm withholding real judgment on that because I know there's another episode coming, right? So, but just my initial response is just like, really? Like, you're just gonna...
I will say this about Hammond. Hammond is a good soldier or airman, whatever he is. He does everything he needs to do, but he also is in the chain of command. And this is what he's told to do. This is where he is. This is what he does. And you know what he doesn't do? He is not the guy looking for a loophole all the time. He's not the guy doing the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like when he says, I expect you to follow it, he really means I expect you to follow it.
And he clearly said, right, the orders from our commander in chief are this. And this is a piece I mentioned in the episode, but I want to talk about it a little bit here now. But they early in the episode, they're talking about that. The president thinks you guys are great, thinks we need to keep you secret, wants to continue operations, but this senator over here, thinks we need to shut you down. O'Neill says, doesn't president outrank senator?
Yeah.
And they do not. He does not. America, we've got a 3 branches of government system, right? Judicial, executive, and legislative. Senator is part of the legislative branch, and the president is the head of the executive branch. People often think of the president as being the whole executive branch, but in my rant earlier, I talked about how like most federal agencies, state agencies, things like that are the executive branch. They're different things. And on the legislative side, yes, there's a Speaker of the House, but the Speaker of the House doesn't necessarily outrank anyone. Like they just have a different job. On the Senate, the head is the Vice President. The Vice President is the one who runs operations in there. So really, being a collective, Senator is pretty much equivalent to President in terms of like power or whatever. Of course, you know, the impression is that the President is the leader, the figurehead, the tip of the spear and all those things. And I mean, functionally, that's kind of how it is. But a senator, and specifically a senator who chairs the Appropriations Committee, may be the most powerful person in American government. They control every dollar that is spent by the federal government. Doesn't get more powerful than that. We pulled up a leadership moment in the episode. I want to touch on that and one other piece. So, dude, it's great. Kinsey and O'Neill are standing up opposite ends of the table, just getting big and, let's go, man. Let's go. Kinsey brings it down. He's like, you need to sit down now, please. Jack pauses, glances at Hammond. Hammond gives him a little nod, and he sits down. That's awesome. It's great that Jack, in that moment, understood he didn't see the big picture. He didn't have the view to see everything. Mm-hmm. How much am I risking? Is this the time for me to go and do it? Hey, boss, what is it? He's like, yeah, this isn't the time. Sit down. So good on O'Neill for recognizing that, and good for Hammond for giving him the right answer, and then good on Jack for them having that trusting that trust, the relationship where they can, hey, is this the right move? No, it's not the right move. Okay. When you have trust on your team, like you literally become superheroes.
Yeah.
The other thing, like I was bagging on Kinsey earlier for being if. One thing he did that I loved is he kept saying, I intend to. In a work environment, those are some of the most powerful words you can use. I intend to this. Well, I don't think that's a good idea because of X, Y, and Z. Saying you intend to do something actually invites discourse, conversation, and often collaboration. So, I intend, hey, that's a great idea. I know a person who can do this thing that'll help you do that. Or I intend to do this. Oh, maybe you should do it this way instead. And that's what sort of happened here, except he didn't intend it, like he intended to do it and had pretty much already done it. So this is one of the, I have looked forward to watching the next episode every time because I want to see the next episode. This is the first time where I'm like, I want to watch it right now. Like I am really interested in what happens next, which is my for the first time reaction. Brent, what kind of sci-fi messages did you pull out of this one?
Not much. Teal'c had one phenomenal line where he said, what is right cannot be measured by strength. I can't pontificate on that because it's so concise. It's so fully, and he's right. What is right cannot be measured by strength. This is something I could have heard this in any Star Trek episode. I could have heard this in Harry Potter. I could have heard this in Narnia, C.S. Lewis. I feel like I could have heard this from Tolkien. It's a phenomenal line. It's one of those lines that transcends. And it was so just, it needs no more explanation though. What is right cannot be measured by strength. Phenomenal point. The rest of it, I mean, this was plot. This was getting through there. We met Kinsey. We could talk. I mean, we could pull out stuff about government interference. A lot of the stuff you just did, government interference and all of this, all of that. No, this is, we're introducing conflict to set us up for this big thing because now where are we? The SGC is shut down. I would say this, when Teal'c requests to leave, that is a, yes, we're going to let you go. This is not a, sorry, I can't even turn it on to let you get out of here. Because now what Kinsey has done is he has made Teal'c a prisoner. Mm-hmm. So no, there needs to be final, like real world stuff. Like, yeah, we're going to have to go out. There's loose ends. I guarantee you there are people out there who are waiting on the SG people to return that they need to go like settle something up with. Anyway, that's all I really got, Jeff. I hate to short circuit it, but it was a phenomenal line. The rest of the show was just what the show was. And, here's what I love is a lot of times when you see a clip show, it truly is just we can't think of anything better. Let's just throw this in there and save a little bit of money. We blew our budget on something else, and so we're going to do this to save some money. This actually had a plot. It advanced the story. It moved the story of SG-1 further along. We are in a different place now at the end of the episode than we were at the beginning of the episode. And despite there being several long clips, as you put it, it had its own beginning, middle, and end.
And the clips made sense.
Exactly. So I guess I got to give it a chevron. I'm going to give it, let's see here. For that line, what is right? And again, this is one of those where they threw it out there and they didn't do anything with it. He said it and Kinsey just sort of scoffed it off. So I'm going to give this one because the chevron is not just the message that's in there, but how strong was it? What did the thing do with it? I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give it one chevron for the one line, I think is where it goes. But I almost want to weight it a lot more. I want to give it 2 just because the line was so good, but I'm going to give it 1.
It was a great line, but to your point, they did nothing with it.
That's it, Jeff. I'll tell you, that is a tattoo worthy statement.
Yeah.
That is a life motto type of a statement.
That's a rally cry of a rebellion, right? I think about the rebels in Star Wars,
especially one that's doomed to failure.
Exactly. Because that's the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars. They should not have won, right? And so there it is. And
well, I mean, that's the civil rights movement should not have won. That's Gandhi, people over in India trying to get the British out. People should not have won. The American Revolution should not have won.
Yeah, apartheid in South Africa.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we'll see that with a few other things here in our world today. So Jeff, I did chevrons. I gave it 1. You, my friend, however, get probably the more fun job. You get to insert this on the ranking. How much did we like the episode? For the rankings, this is our 100% completely accurate, immutable ranking of Stargate SG-1 Season 1. Our current top 5 is Torment of Tantalus, Nox, Enigma, Cold Lazarus, Core-Eye. Core-Eye is really number 5?
Yeah.
Wow.
I liked Core-Eye.
Okay.
That was a good episode.
All right. I like Core-Eye. I didn't know number 5 though. As we said earlier, it's been a while since we've recorded one of these. Jeff, I don't know that this is going to crack top 5, but where do you place this on the list? I'm really interested in this. I have no idea where you're going with this.
This is a clip show. So, I mean, it can't be great, right? I mean, there's never a good clip show.
Really? Because I think this was a pretty damn good clip show.
It's exactly where I was going. I really liked this episode.
I was about to stump for this episode. I was like, dude.
No, I enjoyed this one a lot. And like you said, it moved the plot along. It introduced us to a new character. It gave us a cliffhanger that I care about, that matters. It was really well done. Now, one of my complaints about a couple of the episodes this season have been, it was a 35-minute long episode. They stretched to 44. This one I can say it was a 22-minute long episode. They stretched to 44, but they did it by plopping clips in, and we understand why they made those clips. I think as far as ranking this one goes, it's hard to rank this one because it sets up what's coming.
And you don't know what that is.
So taking it on its own right now, it's like, this could actually suck. Like, this could be a horrible episode based on how it goes next. I don't think that's going to be the case.
Yeah. Jeff, can I just, as you're doing this right now,
mm-hmm.
I want you to rank this on its merit of itself as an episode. And you have my full permission after we see where this is going to revisit this ranking and move it around.
Because this list is immutable until it's not.
Yeah.
I'll tell you where I'm looking on this. Because, I mean, gosh, we've talked about this so much, so I'm not going to belabor the point. But this is a list of great episodes. This has been a phenomenal first season, especially for in the mid to late 90s. This has been really good. I look at this and I fall in that neighborhood. I'm looking like at Thor's Hammer, Solitudes, Tin Man. So that's numbers 10, 11, and 12 that I'm kind of drawn to right out of the gate. Politics is going to go as our new number 14, right below Singularity.
Wow.
I was tempted to put it at number 12, actually above Tin Man, but I really liked Tin Man. I like all of these. Like, I want to be clear. I liked a lot of these. Politics at 14 isn't bad. I really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah. That is still within the good episodes. Just if you make me put them in order, I still can't believe that Solitudes and frankly, Children of the Gods should be way higher. It really should. Solitude should be higher. Thor's Hammer, I can kind of see where you're with that one, but I know where it goes. And I think I'm reviewing that episode based on where it goes, not necessarily what is. Bloodline seems way too high to me. Korai and Brief Candle are both good, but I would drop them into that next tier. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But that's Brent's ranking, who's seen this episode. This is Jeff's immutable, 100% completely accurate ranking. So 14 is politics. Jeff, for the record, we did get, we'll add the tracking sheet. We got 1 for crying out loud. Brings us up to 9 so far for season 1. With that, that's going to do it for politics. Next time, would you like to know what we're doing next time?
Yeah, I'm very curious, actually.
Buckle in, because we are doing, as you may guess, the season 1 finale. But wait, there's more. This is a 2-parter, and we've decided to do 2-parters as one episode. So we're doing the season 1 finale, season 2 premiere. Titles of the episodes. I'm going to make you guess this one, but I think they might be a little bit of a giveaway. Take the entirety of season 1 and put it together. The next episode is Within the Serpent's Grasp, and the one after that is Serpent's Lair. So what do you think?
Within Serpent's Grasp, that's the Gould coming and like with the we're gonna get you. Here's the battle we've been building to in these last couple of episodes. This is how this is going to come up. It's then going to advance to in the Serpent's Lair. They're going to probably Chulak. I called it in our very first episode. They're going after Sha'Rei and Skara. I don't know that they're going to end up going after them, but they're going to play a role. If they want to be dirty about it, which they do. You've told me they had bought 2 seasons of this right out of the gate. So they're not going to want to wrap up storylines this soon. So I actually see in the first episode of season 2, I can see Sha'Rei kind of screwing over SG-1 somehow, kind of playing a little dirty. So we're going to get the battle. We're going to get some fighty stuff. We might even see a Gould ship on the series, because they teased us with a clip from the movie on this. So we might see that. We're going to end up taking Apophis on at home. I don't know that they're going to defeat Apophis, and I think it's going to be because of some chicanery by Sha'Rei.
Okay. You're a good guesser, Jeff.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well, we will see next time right here, Stargate SG-1 for the first time. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Hey, while you're here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, wherever you get your podcast or your YouTube. Please also make sure to leave us a rating and review. That really helps us out a whole lot. And please be sure to share this show with a friend of yours who either already loves SG-1 and just wants to revisit it, or somebody who, like my friend Jeff over there, needs to get into the gate for the very first time. And with that, until next time, folks, thank you so much for joining us. To our patrons.
Hey, Brent.
Yeah, Jeff, what's up?
It's been a little while since we've recorded one of these. We talked about that, right?
It has.
In the meantime, like between these things, I had this weird dream. Like I fell asleep and it was just like, you were there. You were there. You were all there. It was such a crazy dream.
Oh, for crying out loud, General.